This week, coming up from the ashes.
Why am I here?
So for the next 40 minutes, it's nothing but Arson talking, okay?
The next 40 minutes, are you high?
I mean, I'm up in the mountains, so, yeah.
Maybe 20 minutes, I'm not going for 40.
Today is March 18th, and welcome to From the Ashes podcast. I am your humble host, Phoenix.
I am your absolutely clueless and absolutely not necessary co-host, Arson.
Flerp my derp.
Flerp my derp. And today we are Amanda-less. She went to visit Joe in the hospital after that DBD accident, and she slipped and fell on, I don't want to talk about it, and now she's laying up next to Joe. We wish her the best, and we hope she has a quick recovery. But because of that, we have got a special guest coming in to fill that Amanda void. Some would say that this would be Amanda's male version of her twin, but there are some differences. But we got Chad with us. How you doing, Chad?
Hi, mother truckers. How you doing?
Doing. So today, guys, we're going to be talking all about wrestling, and not just wrestling, but one of the best moments in all of wrestling, and that is the Attitude Era. So, it's going to be crazy. I love it. Arson is an expert in wrestling, so he is.
Yeah, it's a wonder why I didn't host this.
Bullshit.
No, Arson has like he said at the beginning, he's clueless. He don't know much about professional wrestling, and because of that, he probably won't be as active. But he'll be around.
That boy ain't right.
Between myself, Chad, and Flerp, we got this. Okay, so if you guys don't know what the Attitude Era is, it's a moment in wrestling when everything changed in the WWF, now the WWE, where just they went completely crazy with a lot of things that they did. It became more adult oriented. But because of that, eventually they pulled out and pulled out. Sorry. Because of that, they pretty much won the Monday Night Wars with the WCW Ted Turner group, and it was glorious. So you guys want to talk about what, like, okay, from each standpoint, you want to talk about what kicked off the Monday Night Wars? Well, sorry, the Attitude Era. Flerp, you go first.
I mean, it depends on. It depends on when you technically want to say that the initial Attitude Era started, because some people would argue the November 9th, 1997, which bullshit. It's just when they first started using the logo.
Yes.
Honest opinion, it's right after It was right after Stone Cold Steve Austin became King of the Ring back in June of, what was that, 95, 96? 96.
96.
After he gave his Austin 316 promo, which I will be more than happy if Chad does his Austin 316 promo again, because that was fucking great yesterday. And I feel like that's kind of when it really built into the more adult-oriented, because, in 1996, I'm going to be honest, I was 5. But I remember watching this.
Yeah.
And, even being a kid, like, it made it so much more badass. Like, I'd been watching it basically my entire childhood because my dad's a terrible influence. And the Austin 316 promo Especially knowing that Austin just came back from, what was it? Didn't he have like a, I think he just had surgery in his mouth or something. And he ended up like getting it cut back open during that match. I don't 100% remember. But yeah, that was kind of for me when I noticed that things just kind of like started taking off in a more mature direction that it should have stayed in and not went family friendly and PG like it fucking is now. But yeah, that's for me, the Austin 316 promo after winning King of the Ring. That's for me when the Attitude Era really kind of kicked off. We're gonna pass this over to Chad. Chad, when do you think?
Well, you thump your Bibles. You got your John 3:16. Well, Austin 3:16 says, "I just whipped your ass." There you go, buddy.
What? Sorry.
What?
So I'm in agreement with that, except I still stand that if it was not for the formation of the NWO, the Attitude Era would have never happened. So, like, I kind of put it there, but I also
100% agree with that.
Straight up in the WWE, that's the moment right there when Austin pulled that promo, and that's one of the best promos of all time it was like they didn't know what he was gonna say. They didn't script their promos back then.
And I 100% agree with you on that with the whole NWO thing, because without the NWO, McMahon wouldn't have had to go to such lengths to try to change up from his big time, bigger than life hero type of characters.
Because let's be honest. As much as I love Ric Flair and Sting, they're on my Mount Rushmore. But WCW at the time, even with Nitro, sucked.
Oh yeah,
it sucked.
I mean, come on, they had the Dungeon of Doom.
Yeah,
and
that was the best. That was the second best storyline they had.
And that was horrible. It was a super horrible, like completely just. Oh my gosh, it was terrible.
The one thing they did
Faces
right.
of Fear.
So the one thing they did right was right off the bat, they did what WWE should have done at WrestleMania 7 and put Hulk Hogan against Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. That's the only thing they did right.
Yeah, but the second that Hogan went over there, all he did was hold the title and like because it was like contracted.
You broke up for a second, bro.
No, you're fine. But yeah, like all Hogan did when he was over there was like hold titles. Like
yeah.
It was crazy because he'd go over there and like beat everybody, and that's like a slap to the face to all of WCW and NWA.
And I love Sting. I mean, you know me, I'm a Hulkamaniac at heart, and I still think their storylines with him sucked.
I can't stand Hogan, but you know that.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I was never a huge Hogan fan, but
anyways, we're not talking Hogan, we're talking Attitude. And but yeah, I have to agree with both of you. Because, like I said, without the NWO formation, we wouldn't have. Well, we may have the Attitude Era, but not like it was.
I don't know. I mean, I still got to say that Stone Cold kicked it off because that entire promo was a month before the NWO debuted.
Yeah.
Like, so if we're talking about who started making things go in the more adult attitude direction, it's got to be Stone Cold's King of the Ring. It happened June 6th. NWO formed July 7th. So I got to give it to the man that did it first, and that's going to go to Stone Cold.
Yeah. I guess so. However, I guess you can credit all of that to Paul E. Dangerously, aka Paul Heyman, because without him, that type of Stone Cold wouldn't have been Stone Cold. I mean, I'm sure he would have, but when Steve Austin, when Stone Cold or when Steve Austin went to ECW and cut that promo about Hogan, like that was amazing, and that's when you start seeing the Stone Cold, and then he came to WWE as the Ringmaster, like. Yeah, that was horrible. That was
such a waste.
You are correct.
That was bad.
Imagine coming
in-
somewhere and your job just being yes.
And Steve, so coming from Steve Austin though, like there's a reason he took it. He
It was
took
a
it
foot in the
because
door.
it was a foot in the door,
Yep.
and like he knew that it was a shit gimmick, but he also knew like he invested in himself, and he knew that he could get over. All he had to do was do it.
Hey, at least he was the $1 million champion. You know, not many people could say that.
Stunning Steve Austin was still the best thing he ever did.
Oh, him and
Hello.
oh my gosh, the Hollywood Blondes, like
Yeah.
Oh god! Like when I showed that to my girlfriend, she's like, "Steve Austin had hair."
yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, he did."
So yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I do believe he did kick it off. But I tell you, still from that King of the Ring, I'm pretty sure it's that King of the Ring. The one thing I remember the most is besides Austin 316 is the Jerry the King Lawler and Bret Hart match, the Kiss My Foot match. That brought in Isaac Yankem, which eventually brought in Kane.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Even though it was a terrible match.
it was a bad match. It really was. But, you know, they didn't really utilize Jerry Lawler as well as they should have.
No.
But Jerry Lawler is amazing. Like, without
He's
him,
hilarious.
without him in the Attitude Era, I couldn't imagine him and JR not being together, you know? So,
Lawler's hilarious.
yeah. Oh, he is.
And he's a hell of an artist too.
Yeah, he is. So anyways, so how about this, guys? Tell me, just within no particular order, we'll start with Chad, with not like one of your favorite moments. So like, it doesn't have to be your top, but what's one of your favorite moments? Say, you know, just in general, what did you like in the Attitude Era when it comes to one of your favorite moments?
The first time that Stone Cold stunned McMahon.
Oh,
Nobody forgets that.
that's true. That is a good moment.
And McMahon couldn't sell the stunner worth a shit.
No, he
But,
couldn't.
But nobody expected that to happen. Nobody.
No.
And then, holy crap, he just gave the Stone Cold stunner to his boss.
Yeah.
How many people that work for somebody else haven't thought about that moment?
Right.
Exactly.
What about you, Flerp? What's a moment that you'll never forget?
A moment I will never forget, and it will always stick with me. And I still to this day wish that this was acceptable. China winning the Intercontinental Championship from Jeff Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett, yes. Well,
Totally acceptable to me.
I no,
China
it's the
was
fact
huge.
that nowadays, like, they don't do that anymore. Like, they
Yeah.
won't.
Oh, yeah.
They're afraid to, and like, you know, it still happens in the indie circuit, and it's fine. It works fine. Nobody gets mad about it. But I get that on television, they're afraid of what people might think of men play fighting women. But
They had
yeah,
Beth
like,
Phoenix for a minute.
seeing China, you know, be the first woman to ever win a man's championship, like, that was the coolest thing in the world to me.
yeah, but
Like,
here's
that
the
was
thing.
the moment, in my opinion, that the WWE was like, hey, chicks can do it too. And I was like, fuck yeah, they can.
Here's the thing, though. I agree. However, I think it's funny because if you go back and watch that, you know, Jarrett clearly won that match. And then they called it back because he used the IC title to win.
Because it wasn't a household weapon.
Right. Which is
And
ridiculous.
then she just domes his ass with a guitar. And they're like, is that a household weapon?
That's completely justified, you know. But yeah, like Jarrett won the match, and then they called it back because he used the IC title to win. Like, I'll never forget that either. Like, that was actually on one of my lists. So I wrote down a list of different things to talk about, and my biggest moment, and I know there's a lot of big moments, and also I do believe that helped kick off the Attitude Era was the Stone Cold versus Bret Hart feud. I feel like, but that came right after the King of the Ring, so like, it's all connected.
So there's not very many instances when you can do a double switch in a match. The first one that I can think of is Jake the Snake versus Honky Tonk at WrestleMania 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only other one that I can really remember after that is Stone Cold versus Bret Hart at WrestleMania. And like they completely flipped him, and they like Austin. I think Austin lost the match, didn't he? That's the one where he passed out.
Yeah, well, he didn't tap out though, so
No, he passed out.
he passed out. Well,
Turn your hearing aid
no,
up.
no, I heard what you said. I was just saying he passed out. I was
Yeah.
agreeing he did not tap.
But
So there's
he
always
passed
that.
out because he lost so much blood, quote unquote, which he did
Yeah.
have a lot of blood on his
There,
face.
well,
but
he cut himself too deep.
I know.
Like,
He bladed.
yeah, he bladed too
But,
deep. But yeah.
But
So-
like they made him look really strong in doing that, and he still, even though he lost the match, and like the way they just did the flip flop right there, I freaking love that stuff. That's the stuff that hooks me.
Now, see, when you talk about the flip flop, and now you brought up Jake the Snake, and I gotta step back for a second in time because your favorite boy is the one that kept him down, and when he turned good, he started getting bigger pops than Hogan, and then they were supposed to meet, and then it never happened because they didn't. I mean, let's be fair. Today's day and age, they can literally make the crowd cheer or boo anybody.
Yeah.
They've done it. They've done it.
It's
So-
type and noise.
Yeah. So
Like,
but
let's just point out in today's, let's just really quickly just throw, like, in today's wrestling, like, people are actively booing The Rock. Like,
Yeah.
actively hate The Rock.
Before he even turned heel,
Yeah,
they were
before
booing
he
him.
even turned heel. They were
because
pissed.
we want Cody, motherfuckers.
Yeah, we
Well-
fucking do. I
Well-
love Cody Crybaby.
but they
All right,
but they
back
were
to
doing
what we were doing.
But they were doing that with Roman Reigns, John Cena. You know, when they were booing John Cena and Roman Reigns when they were good, and like they would
They were good.
well when they were not heels. Like John Cena was
Yeah.
never a heel.
Oh, I thought you meant like when they were still good in the ring.
When they back in their days, no.
John Cena was never a heel.
John Cena was only a heel back in the day,
Yeah,
which he
He
was an
was a-
amazing heel.
he was, dude. Like that's why
Um,
everybody wanted him to turn heel again.
His rap battle with
Are we talking about the ruthless aggression era?
yes, but his rap battle against Big Show was like one of the best. I loved it. But anyways,
Ruthless aggression.
but
Listen, Flerp. The sun shines on every dog's ass once in a while. John Cena was one of very few good things that came out of the ruthless aggression era.
Look,
That's
just,
true.
Just like Stone Cold, he put that company on his back and carried
Yeah.
it. And Stone
yeah.
Cold, literally, that if it wasn't for Stone Cold being in DBD, what in the world? Could you imagine Stone Cold being in Dead by Daylight? Anyways, that's a whole other subject.
every
Or shows up.
every
What?
time you hook somebody, what?
What?
And that's the bottom line,
yeah.
because Stone Cold said so.
When you get when
Instead
they
of
die
getting
on the hook.
tokens, he gets beers.
Oh my gosh! Like, could you imagine the Maury? Like, he just gets in your face and with the beer and like, oh, you know, you like kind of like when he shakes his head like back and forth. Oh, you know,
Yeah, it flips you off and then
yeah, butt stomps you. Oh gosh, that's okay. So we
We're
need to
getting
make
off
that happen. We need to make that happen. But
I'm gonna
anyways,
get a letter.
as I was saying though, before I completely took us off topic, he single-handedly saved the WWE because of how he was and how they literally let him roll with it. Like,
Yeah.
amazing.
More Rock
'Cause Sean-
didn't just renew people's like interest in wrestling,
Yeah,
but it also brought people that otherwise wouldn't have ever watched it.
yeah.
Yeah.
over.
All right, so my
plus-
favorite
plus-
moments. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I was gonna say. Plus, Bret Hart left, and Shawn Michaels was injured.
Yeah,
So that's your two top guys right there.
yeah,
And
and
the only other one after that was The Undertaker. So,
until The Rock.
well, yeah, but The Rock didn't come for like another year, I think.
Well, I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like when you have because Triple H started to come into his own because of DX, the formation of DX. and stuff like that. But anyways, so I don't even have to think about my favorite moment. There's so many amazing moments in the Attitude Era, but my favorite above all, okay, because let me take you on a little trip, okay. Back in the day, there was a certain wrestler that wrestled for WCW. And he kind of had a lion heart, you know. He was a really underrated wrestler and was treated not the greatest. He was a cruiserweight. He had some of the when I started to adore him is when this certain person started to try to pick a fight with Bill Goldberg. and then lo and behold, he picks up some random dude and makes him his valet, basically, and that was Ralphus. Now, who you ask for the non-wrestling fans listening, this would be the Ayatollah of Rock'n'Rolla, the one and only Y2J Chris Jericho. He was awesome, and the leading up to his debut in the WWE was legendary. Like, it was around, you know, it was the millennium, and they had that whole what's gonna happen on the millennium, is everything gonna shut down and blah blah blah. Like, it's crazy to even think that now. But you know, like, they had these, like, the calendars and all that crap that predicted that the world was gonna go bleh. But
Yeah.
Y2J used that. Well, the WWE used that, and Chris Jericho came out
with whatever the fuck that hairstyle was.
Oh yeah, okay, so the little okay, so it's not about the hairstyle. But what he did, when you come out and interrupt The Rock, like, you know there's something special happening, because Chris Jericho's amazing on a mic. You know, he was still kind of raw at the he was still a little raw at the mic at that time. Like, he was good, don't get me wrong, he was really good. But when you come out to one of the biggest pops in the WWE's history, and it absolutely was. Me and my friends were sitting there because I'm sure you guys can attest to this. You know, I used to watch Monday Night Raw and Nitro simultaneously. You know, we'd go back and forth between the two.
Back and forth, yeah.
We'd get a big old pizza or two pizzas, and we'd sit there, eat pizza, hang out, and just enjoy wrestling. That was our couple-hour block until it went to 3 hours and blah blah blah. But anyways, you know, it was really like a great time, and we were sitting there watching that. The moment, because we all knew he was going, like, we figured we broke the code, you know. And everybody knew, it was like the worst kept secret. Everybody knew he was coming out that night, but it's still the biggest pop that there's a couple that were probably bigger, but that's one of the biggest pops I've ever seen in a WWE ring. And it was amazing. There's nothing that can top that in my eyes. That's one of the most memorable moments for me.
I think the people knowing, like, kind of knowing, is probably what made that pop so huge, though.
Yeah,
because everybody wanted to see him be successful.
Yeah, well, you've seen all these Raw is Jericho signs out there in the crowd the day he debuted, because, you know, people might want to sit there and say that Raw is Jericho was like something strictly to WWE, but he was doing Nitro as Jericho, or Monday Night Jericho, or stuff like that. He was literally doing that in WCW. So, you know, that was that, and you've seen all these different signs out there, and like, it was just amazing. Like, oh, I get cold chills just talking about it. But yeah, that's my favorite moment above all else.
Yeah, that's an excellent moment.
That is an excellent moment. And, you know, I feel like that kind of led into, you know, there was so much time spent on people trying to figure out who was showing up. And then once everybody figured it out, you know, I feel like that was the one time that I was okay with it. Mm-hmm. Like, because nowadays it's like wrestling can't have any surprise.
No.
I don't know. I'm just saying WWE's getting real good at like subverting that stuff, because like everybody kind of knew that Cody Rhodes was coming back, but like
yeah.
a few years ago, the Hardy Boys came back and nobody knew.
Yeah, that made me shit my pants a little bit. Because at first I was like, great, the New Day's throwing themselves into another fucking match, and then the Hardy Boys showed up, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Same with Edge returning at the Royal Rumble. I
Yeah.
had no idea that
Nobody
was going to
knew.
happen. And I cried, dude, because Edge was one of my favorite wrestlers when I was a kid, and watching him
I love
have
Edge,
to
dude.
end his career, and then just randomly show back up when I was an adult, like that was a heart-wrenching moment for me.
Yeah.
So let me ask you guys this, okay? There were some pretty big debuts during that time too, which is kind of funny because we seen like Ron Simmons come in as Farouk Assad. You know, granted that was that was July '96, I think, is when he came in. But that was pre-Nation of Domination. He had some sort of like headpiece on, like he was a gladiator. You remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you got Taz that came in. You know, like well,
I got good Taz memories.
Well, the thing is, for Taz to debut and then come in and beat Kurt Angle,
Yeah.
like
In
for his
quick
first
fashion.
loss in WWE.
Yeah.
In quick fashion too.
You know, and then you've got ones like, you know, Booker T, which came in, of course, after the, you know, for the invasion storyline. That was more towards the end of the Attitude Era. Then you got Kurt Angle that came in, you know, which, to be fair, Kurt Angle, he didn't have the greatest of like intros because he faced like Sean Stasiak at Survivor Series.
Listen, he won the Olympics with a broken freaking neck. So.
Yeah, kid.
But to be honest, one of the best.
Sorry, I had to.
No, you're good. But to be honest, one of the best things like debuts that happened was when the Radicals came in.
Yeah.
Like that brought over at least 2 or 3 big talents from WCW. I don't
Saturn
consider
was popular too.
But you knew exactly what I was talking about.
I don't consider him like a huge talent.
No.
They could have made it or not made it with or without him.
Yeah,
but
you got Chris Benoit,
really
Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko.
Though.
You know, it's just oof.
Yeah,
so
I
good.
really liked Saturn.
Yeah. Yeah, so and then of course you get like
these names I haven't thought about in probably 15 years.
Right?
My favorite debut is actually somebody that we just got done talking about. I loved Edge, dude, from the start because I like y'all know I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons and other games like that. Well, one of the games that I was into real big was Vampire the Masquerade. And like Edge came in and like 3 months into it, finally associated himself with the Brood and like Gangrel and the Brood. Like I loved that shit, dude.
Oh yeah, it was.
But I liked
amazing.
Edge. I got that same vibe from Edge when he first came in, though, when they didn't know what the hell they were doing with him. But Edge made it work. That's probably my favorite debut.
He really did, and you know, it's even cooler knowing that he made it when. You think back to God, what show was he on where he was asking God, I don't remember what
it was Maury Povich. Maury Povich, I think.
No, I think it was Phil Donahue.
Phil Donahue, that's what it was. Yes, you're right. When he was
asking like, how do you did you become how did you get into it? And then like
talking to Bret Hart.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see this dude show up and it's like, holy fucking shit. But then again, when you saw him on that show, you know, he had the look for it already. Yeah. Like when you saw him on that show, you know, he already had that this dude could be a star look to him.
Yeah.
So let's talk about one more debut, and then I kind of want to segue into like groups. You know, this came towards the like after the New Age Outlaws kind of like ended, but I'm just kind of funny. Okay, so when the New Age Outlaws ended, Road Dogg got a new teammate. Do you guys remember who that was? I'm assuming you guys know.
It's been a minute.
He went by the moniker K-Quick.
Oh, R-Truth.
Ron the Truth Killings.
He is gold. WWE needs to protect that man with everything that they have right now because he is gold.
And also, he is 5 years younger than Shawn Michaels, and look at that man.
Yeah, but what I'm saying though is back then, when he was K-Quick, it was like complete trash. He didn't even last that long. What made him good was like a few years down the road when he went to TNA. And
he was a good wrestler.
He was, but
didn't
it was
have a good gimmick.
Right, K-Quick, the rapping gimmick, with the Road Dogg. It was quite interesting. But yeah, so I was looking at some of those and I saw like, oh my gosh, freaking K-Quick. I could never forget that.
Him and the Road Dogg tagged up in TNA too.
Yeah. So let's talk factions. We already talked one. The Brood was an amazing faction. I'm a huge fan of Christian. I got to meet him in the airport one time. It was really cool. But the Brood was just one of many, many, many good or really, really bad factions during the Attitude Era. And it was really good. But let's see if you guys can remember some of the other ones that were not so good. Can anybody tell me one that they think of?
The fucking oddities.
The oddities, that's the one that's at the top of my list, dude.
They were so terrible, but you couldn't help but like them.
They were so terrible, but you could, for some odd reason, WWF just went, Juggalos, that's the answer.
Yeah.
Everybody come see the greatest show. Anyways, but yeah, look.
God, and like the theme song was good. Like,
I know.
So I liked John Tenta a lot. I
love John Tenta.
And for him to be the masked wrestler, what was his name in that? Golga?
I can't remember. It was Golga.
Yeah,
I think it was Golga. Yeah.
Yeah, he always wore that South Park T-shirt.
Yeah.
But John Tenta, for the ones that don't know, he was the Earthquake. He literally was repackaged for this. And shortly after this, he ended up going over to WCW, or was it before that? I think he came back from WCW.
No, it was before that, yeah. But that dude was a legit sumo wrestler, too.
Yeah, he was. He was straight up.
That wasn't just a storyline that they did with him. He was a legit sumo wrestler.
Yeah, but he was like the best part of the oddities to me. But they were trash. Oh my gosh.
I mean, let's remember that.
They had to make Kurgan relevant, though.
Yeah.
Let's just remember that the Jackal is Don Callis.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so
and he's still a douchebag to this day.
He's the worst thing going on in AEW.
So I think one or two worse than those oddities. Not in any particular order, but I think the Disciples of Apocalypse were horrible. The DOA.
Yep. Yeah. Even though that was kind of the Undertaker's group. I loved it because it was the Undertaker's group, but it was just a terrible idea.
Yeah.
I think they realized that pretty quickly too.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but then you have the Union, the freaking Union.
Yeah.
That right there is to be one of the worst, and it had great wrestlers in it.
That lasted about 3 weeks?
It's something like that. It was horrible. Like the Union, Then you got like X Factor. Do you remember X Factor? It had Just Incredible and Albert and X-Pac.
Yeah. So
God, I always forget about Just Incredible.
Dude,
everybody else does too.
I don't, because he was a very good wrestler.
Yeah. He was. And
especially in ECW. Like when him and Lance Storm were a tag team, dude.
Yeah,
They were freaking gold.
I agree.
WWE just has this thing where they get a good wrestler and they don't know how to use them.
Yeah.
Like a good instance of this is with Buff Bagwell, which kind of was at the end of the Attitude Era.
Mm-hmm.
They told him not to look at the camera. Half the dude's gimmick was looking at the fucking camera.
Yeah. I've got
What do
one
you
more.
do?
I've got one more bad one. What about Kai and Tai?
See, I loved Kai and Tai though.
Indeed.
Like they were so bad that they were good.
Yeah.
Because it was entertaining and it was funny, and that's all it was meant to be, was entertaining and funny. Until they tried to chop off a certain part of Val Venus's anatomy.
Yeah. So were you gonna ask? So were you gonna ask what was my favorite, or
yeah? What's your favorite?
So it's kind of a twofold, actually. Like I really like two different groups. Now there's a huge change in one that made me completely lose like everything for it, because they had some great storylines with them. But I think my number one's always going to be Degeneration X. During that era, it's really hard to beat them.
It's really hard. Yeah, it's really hard to beat perfection.
Yeah. But when you're talking about my second, or my close second, would be the Ministry of Darkness.
Okay, I agree with that. However, I think that I have to call back to the NWO a little bit here, because I think the Ministry of Darkness made the same exact mistake that the NWO made. They had too many members.
Agreed.
Right? When they went, especially when they went to the corporate ministry, it was too much.
And that's when I did not like it.
And that's when the NWO started failing too, is when they had way too many members. And the whole reason they split it up into the Wolfpack was because they had too many people in it. And like the Ministry of Darkness made the same mistake. However, the way they handled it, as far as like the storylines within went, that's what made The Rock and Triple H superstars.
Yeah.
Because having those two in the same group butting heads until eventually the corporate ministry turned on The Rock. Everybody wanted The Rock to be a good guy. When he first teased it, like and ended up joining the corporation, like you saw it right there in that little tournament, quote unquote, that they had. You saw it. Everybody wanted The Rock to be a good guy, and instead he made himself the ultimate bad guy. And then people hated him again. Until like they actually made him a good guy again. And like then he became the biggest thing on that television screen. Everybody watched it for The Rock, because Stone Cold was kind of out at the moment. And The Rock just stepped up, and like I'll say it, like as far as like I think there's a Hulk Hogan from every era. Obviously there's Hulk Hogan from the 80s. I don't really associate with Steve Austin as the Hulk Hogan, although I will say he carried the Attitude Era. But like there's always that one hero that they have, you know. Then there was The Rock. That's why they had The Rock versus Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania. And then there was John Cena. The problem is they tried to do that with Roman Reigns, but they tried to force it down your throat, and nobody wanted to see it. And I'm a huge Roman Reigns fan. I like Roman Reigns, even now. But like when you're trying to force it on somebody, everybody's going to say, nope. See ya.
And the entire world is screaming, give it to the man who's earned it.
Yeah.
And like I hate to say it, but you know, I could do an entire podcast alone on Cody Rhodes' accolades and accomplishmits. But
I'm with you.
Like that mustache?
I'm just saying he had a good mustache though.
He did. He had a damn good mustache, but like WWE basically telling him that he wasn't worth anything, and then that man going out and saying, fuck you, I'm gonna do everything. And then create something that since
Rivals
Cody left
youth.
has really lost its direction.
Yeah.
But in my honest opinion, like Cody Rhodes he's the best thing about wrestling today.
I agree.
But it isn't a people's champion that got shoved down our throats. It's a people's champion that the people chose.
Yeah. See, because back then it happened kind of organically with The Rock too.
Yeah, it happened organically with The Rock.
He started calling himself the People's Champion as a joke, and then actually people started liking him when he was saying, "You all suck." We suck, Rock. That's what they would do.
And that's one of the things that I miss. Like when Austin, did the first Austin 316 promo, that was when, that's when everybody realized, holy shit, we have a star in front of us. Like, we need to capitalize on this. And I feel like back in the Attitude Era, it was based on, the fans picking who was going to be that next top guy. And nowadays, it's just, who can they shove down our throats? It's just, it doesn't feel organic anymore.
All right, so let's do this. Arson, do you have anything to tell us about anything?
I don't know. I mean, this is the first time I've talked in like 47 minutes, something like that. I don't know. I'm terrible.
Holy shit, we've been going.
It's 41 minutes.
You see that coming in from the top rope? Is that an ad break? About a pile drive right into Flerp. Here it comes.
There's only one era so groundbreaking.
You make your rules, and we will break them. If you and that's the bottom line. Goes Stone Cold Simpson.
That it changed the game forever. Welcome to the Attitude Era. It's the era that transformed everything.
Generation X proudly starts the war against WCW. This company will never be the same again.
Relive the iconic moments and superstars that captivated the world and defined a generation.
Oh, hell yeah!
The Attitude Era. On DVD and Blu-ray now.
Welcome back. That's all. That's what you wanted, right, Phoenix?
That's exactly.
I don't know what I'm supposed to say. Welcome back from the ad break.
He's a little salty. No, I'm just kidding.
Why am I here?
So for the next 40 minutes, it's nothing but Arson talking. Okay.
The next 40 minutes, are you high?
I mean, I'm up in the mountains, so
Maybe 20 minutes. I'm not going for 40.
So welcome back, guys. We left off talking about non-Attitude Era stuff, Cody Rhodes, but let's segue from Cody Rhodes to his brother during the Attitude Era. Dustin, or AKA Goldust, was one of the freakiest parts of wrestling back then, and everybody loved it. I mean, I did. I think this predates the one part predates the Attitude Era, but his match against Roddy Piper was excellent. I love that thing, and he actually got injured in that match. But it was an absolute gem of a match, and I really liked it. They filmed that back street brawl or whatever it was called, on a whim. McMahon's like, you guys need to fly out here while you're there, do this, and oh wow, but it turned out great.
It was the backlot brawl. That's it. Yeah.
But it was awesome, and I think his character was just something else, and they when the Attitude, it was bad enough before the Attitude Era, but when that hit, they changed his character so many different times to make it to where it was like completely worse. Like it was, but he had the like. What's more memorable about him? Like he's a great wrestler, but his entrance music is like one of the best in my eyes. Especially back in those days.
He is one of those. Dustin Rhodes is one of those wrestlers that is so good at being both a heel and a baby face that you can't really deny that he needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
I agree, 100%. So let's. I just wanted to go back to that because of talking about Cody, and
I mean,
you know,
he kept up the Gold Dust thing from 95 until 2018.
yeah.
If you can make a gimmick last that long and still sell, you should be in the Hall of Fame, no question.
Look, just selling the whole thing where he got electrocuted and he started stuttering after that, like that was like amazing. Like it was that he made so many people break just from that alone. Like Triple H, and there was a segment with Triple H and Ric Flair in a match or in a ring, and he just made them lose it because of the way he was talking. It was hilarious. But let's take a step back and let's ask the novice of the wrestling fans. I wouldn't even say that, but let's talk to Arson. Arson,
You got any questions, sweetheart?
Hey there, Bob.
hi, Jim.
I don't know. Not really. I mean, I guess I could just bring up random moments that stick out to me, and then you can give more context.
Oh yeah, that sounds good.
There was one moment where Mr. Stone Cold was like chucking beer cans at some dude.
Wait, was that
Kurt
the
Angle.
one, Kurt Angle?
I think so. He was just like, he tried to keep talking, but he just threw another one. It seemed like he had an endless supply of beer cans to just chuck at the guy before
Well,
he could
He
save
was a
him.
good shot too. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he
well,
threw those really far, man.
if you watched him enough wrestling, you know he got his beer from the crowd.
Yeah, Stone Cold was really good at drilling people with absolute piss missiles. So
He was good at catching them too. I'm just saying.
Oh,
He
yeah.
didn't drop them very often.
Not very
That's a
often. He
wet-
did every once
That's
in
a
a while.
wet can of beer.
And when he threw somebody a beer and they dropped it, oh, let it be known.
yeah.
he
And let's give
would.
it up for Stone Cold beer thrower. Like,
Yeah. Like, I mean, you'd think it would just come straight from fans in the crowd. Of course it didn't. but you know, I mean, I bet some people tried.
I assume it came from vendors.
I don't know. All I do know is how much beer that man consumed over the Attitude Era in his career with WWE.
Well, probably not quite as much as you think, because if you watch him, he'll get 2 beers in his hand, he'll smash them together. That takes out about half the beer out of each can, and then he like pours it half all over his face too. So he might
Yeah.
got like a quarter of a can from each of those.
Yeah, but you know,
okay.
So
Now,
what I'm
granted, he would
is,
do like 10 or 12 of them.
yeah, I mean, he would get thrown like at the end of his matches. He would get thrown them like crazy. So he would sit there and like he learned the art of not consuming as much. But I think early on he did try. So, anyways, Arson, what were you gonna say?
So basically, what I'm getting from this is that he probably has like every time he just enters the ring or he's somewhere near, there's just a conveniently placed cooler full of beer
Pretty
that he
much.
can just look at people
There really
or
is,
just smash
yeah.
them together.
Yeah, pretty much. Like he just sits there, pops the tops, smashes them together, and bam. Or in Kurt Angle's case, he literally just would throw like in that segment. Yeah, that was a good one though. What else? What else?
That actually leads to one of my favorite Stone Cold Stunner moments too, because he gave Shane McMahon a beer and then he stunned him, and Shane did the thing where he popped back and spit the beer out.
Yeah, I do remember that. Oh,
People
Hey.
overselling the stunner was my favorite thing.
hold on. The one that's oversold the stunner the most and did it purposely to try to get a rise out of Austin was The
Oh,
Rock.
it was The Rock. Yeah.
The
Well, no,
Rock.
he had a bet. He had a bet with Scott Hall.
Yeah,
They had a bet going to see who could oversell the stunner better,
Yeah.
and I think The Rock won.
The Rock absolutely won. But yeah, that was
Honorable
great.
mention to Austin Theory.
Do what?
I said honorable mention to Austin Theory.
Yeah.
His stunner cell was top tier.
I haven't seen it. I don't watch much wrestling nowadays. So I know who he is, but after so long, when it was just WWE got horrible.
It's getting much better.
Yeah.
I will say that.
So I
Yeah,
just
because
stopped it.
Cody Rhodes came back and saved wrestling.
Well, I think right now it's more because of who is in charge.
Yeah.
But that is a big part of it.
So okay, Arson, pick out another moment.
There was another moment that really stuck out that I don't think you gents talked about, where Stone Cold fucking pulled up into the backstage lot with a fucking a concrete and he poured
When he destroyed McMahon's Corvette.
yeah, he destroyed his Corvette by just
Filled that.
pouring cement in. The windows popped and he looked so distraught.
Oh, that was so amazing.
And then Mankind reaching his hand down in there, be like, "Don't worry, I'll get the keys." And he's like, "Don't worry about the keys. Leave it the fuck alone."
Oh
So-
my gosh, that was amazing.
Mankind was one of my favorite characters back then.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, I was so glad when he won his first championship, that because he's like Cody Rhodes is now, like, he kind of deserved it. He worked his ass off. He destroyed his body for that company, for our entertainment, with one of the greatest moments in Attitude Era history, in wrestling history,
And let's talk
when
about
the
that.
Undertaker tossed him off the cage.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a planned spot.
So the
It
Hell
was
in
a
the Cell,
planned spot.
the Hell in the Cell match that he is talking about, it wasn't the first one, but it was probably the best one. Bar none.
I don't know. Undertaker
oh, yeah.
and Shawn Michaels was pretty good too.
Oh, it was, but like the way Mankind was, I mean, yes, it was a planned spot, but that second one wasn't planned. When that when that cage gave through and he went straight down to the bottom, they thought
And
he was
he's
dead.
Lucky. Like, he's lucky that happened.
Yeah.
Because when the cage broke, it's what if he would have landed the spot correctly, he would be dead.
Yeah. Well, they thought Undertaker thought he was dead anyways.
Well, if you look, he looks down at him. He says, "Hey Mick, are you all right?" or something along those lines while he's standing up there looking at him.
Well, to be like him and get carted out of that match and then all of a sudden be like, "No, I'm finishing this." Like, came back in and finished. It was just absolutely crazy.
Epic.
But it was epic. But let's talk about another moment that really changed the Monday Night Wars. That involves Mankind. Because this was literally a defining moment in the Monday Night Wars. Let's picture it, guys. Sicily. No, I'm just kidding. That's Golden Girls. Picture it. Over on Ted Turner's station, you have a Tony Schiavone sitting there talking about how, they're going to give the title to, or used to be Cactus Jack and blah, 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 blah. And thinking that, mocking that because, let's face it, WWF at the time, WWE, got a little crazy and they started recording their live shows. And because of that, people found out or were privy to some stuff over at the WCW, and they found out that during the taping, the airing of that, when they were live, they announced that Mankind was going to win the world championship. And what happened next? Do you want to tell us, Flerp, what happened next?
Hold on, what's going on? Sorry, I got pulled away for a second.
Do you want to tell us what happened next, Chad?
Well, let's see. I'm going to grab my remote and change the channel.
And that's what everybody did.
They changed it over to WWE, and WCW never won the ratings again after that.
Yeah, like once they gave the title to Mankind, and like that was like a huge bunch of mistakes that happened after that from WCW. that literally drove their company into the ground, and WWE flourished. Some of the best stuff happened after that moment too. So, like, that right there was a defining moment in the Monday Night Wars. And maybe we could do a Monday Night Wars segment to like another show that's dedicated to the Monday Night Wars. But that would be probably like a 4-hour freaking podcast. But anyways,
the first two-parter.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the defining moment, is when Tony Schiavone decided to tell the world that Mankind was going to win the world title. And what everybody do? They flip channels. I know, I was there. I did it. I did the same thing. I flipped the channel over to watch Mick Foley win the title.
Yep. From The Rock.
From The Rock. Exactly. All right, Arson.
Yeah, wasn't that the corporate Rock thing?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, the corporate champion.
Like, it was amazing the way they did that. But I wanted to bring that up because you brought up Mankind, and that was a good lead into that, you know? So, Mankind was a gem. You know, he's the only person to ever be in the Royal Rumble 3 times.
In one match.
In one match.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Mankind,
Dude Love, and Cactus Jack. Yeah. So, I found that was hilarious.
He should have came back one more time as Mick Foley.
Yeah, but he wasn't really doing that then at that time. So
I know.
But that would have been hilarious. But yeah, so all right, Arson, give us another topic. Give us another moment that you want explained.
I feel like we should pair both of these, and that's the beer and milk truck moments.
Milkomania!
Milkomania is one of the greatest moments.
Honestly, so is the beer truck moment, though.
Yeah, they
because,
both are.
Like, and you have, I think it was it Shane that was in the ring acting like he was like swimming in the beer like a jackass?
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be hit with with whatever's coming out
fire
of one of those hoses.
Yeah.
Because that hurts.
Oh, yeah. But
can we talk about how bad Milkomania probably smelled?
Oh, could you imagine it getting all over the crowd? Could you imagine being ringside and having to deal with that? Look, okay, as my profession, I was a part of a thing where I had to get, because I'm a teacher, you know, I teach as well, sub teacher, but I was a part of a program to
thought you were a dom.
I am. Okay, I'm the nation of domination. Anyways, but anyways, like I took part of this thing where they it helped make money for the school, to where the kids got to pie me in the face, and it was filled with whipped cream. Chad remembers this, I'm sure.
Yep.
So from the time they pied me in the face and until about a half hour after that, my everything stunk. And I didn't bring anything of a change of clothes or anything. I was literally taking a bath in the school sink to try to get that stench of souring milk. Like, so that being said, I couldn't imagine the nastiness that people would have had to put up with, because let's be honest, the crowd got it. There's no way they didn't.
Oh, they did. And like, the question that I've always had about that moment is, so when he starts chucking the like milk cartons at people, you notice that he's just grabbing them from a crate and he's throwing them. And then he does the whole segment with the fire hose where he soaks everybody. And the reason why I think that smelled terribly is the milk he drank came out of a cooler. So I believe
those trucks are refrigerated.
Yeah,
well, I'm talking like I would imagine so, but I don't think that the initial cartons that he threw at people were refrigerated.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not.
So like, you just got to think that he's just drilling them with like
warm milk,
moldy these moldy milk cartons. Oh God. Oh, it's sickening to even fucking talk about it.
So yeah, those were great moments. I liked them both. Like I think I liked the Milkomania better than the Austin one, the Beeromania, whatever you want to call it. But because of the way Kurt Angle is, and like I think Chad and I were talking about this. I think this is like one of the first times Angle turned face as well. So it's like it was like awesome because look, Kurt Angle came in. He did nothing wrong, but the crowd hated him. Like everybody hated him. I didn't. I thought he was a great wrestler. But the way he tried to come in as a face, and the crowd turned to him quick.
Well,
It was
one of the things that I find really good about the Milkomania moment specifically is just I don't know if you guys realized this, but Kurt Angle drove into the ring initially.
yeah,
He actually crashed the milk truck
he hit
into the
the
ring
ring.
and had to back up.
yeah.
And what's funny about that is the fact that that brings us back to Taz, because they're doing the whole Stone Cold like appreciation thing in the ring, where everybody's wearing WCW and ECW merch, or talking about Stone Cold, and then Stone Cold's about to beat the dog shit out of Taz for wearing a Taz shirt.
Yeah. Oh man. But there's just so many good moments back then, Let's talk about a few of them. Okay. Some of the guest celebrities that they had come in during the Attitude Era, two on my list specifically. First of all, like if I'm sitting here talking about it, just not even mentioning a name, I guarantee you guys will get the first one without even me even having to say anything. Who do you think the person is I'm thinking of, Flerp?
Second.
So Flerp's been a little under the weather, just so you guys know. He's still sexy as all get out, but he's just a little sick. So we'll take this to the Chad. Chad, who do you think I'm thinking of?
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson. That's exactly correct. Mike Tyson.
Yep.
You all right, bud?
Yeah, I'm just having a coughing fit.
Gotcha. Yeah, Mike Tyson. I bet Flerp was thinking that anyways. But Mike Tyson.
Stone Cold. Yep.
Yeah.
We're there.
Yeah, so it was interesting, the way Mike Tyson was playing it off, because technically, I guess you can kind of call him an honorary member of DX
For a hot minute.
For a hot minute, yeah, because it was all about Mike Tyson, and being the straight and narrow, blah 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 blah, and I mean he did a good job in there, for Mike Tyson. I think Mike Tyson's a lot better on them with his mic skills and stuff like that, camera skills, than he was then. Mike Tyson.
It's Mike Tyson.
It's
I
impetuous.
would not make fun of that man to his face.
Nah. But the thing is he'd probably
would
get a
destroy
kick.
me.
Oh, he would. But he'd probably get a kick out of it, but still. All right, so the second one I'm thinking of comes a little later, not too much later in the Attitude Era, but it's one of my defining moments because I grew up, around the Cincinnati area, and this particular person is basically Hall of Fame material when it comes to the Major League Baseball Association. And
Should be in the Hall of Fame.
he should be, absolutely, I agree. But that's Pete Rose. The Pete Rose and Kane thing that happened, like, it was absolutely phenomenal. Like, I think it was funny how they did it over 2 years. Because when he first came in, it was WrestleMania 14, I think, and he was tombstoned by Kane. And the next year, he comes in WrestleMania 15, or it was dubbed WrestleMania 2000. And the San Diego Chicken was in the ring. And Pete Rose comes in, was it with a bat, I think? And yeah, he gets demolished by Kane again.
Mm-hmm.
But to be fair, I think he's probably the only Major League Baseballer that is in the WWE Hall of Fame. So there's that. But I just wanted to touch on that just a little bit. Also, I wanted to say something about how, during that Attitude Era when DX was going against Nation of Domination, and The Rock was leading up the Nation, and they DX completely mocked them by bringing in, like, there was this one guy, his name's Jason Sensation. He does so many really good voices, and he did an Owen Hart like none other. And this was part of the time when Owen Hart was in the Nation of Domination, and the whole "I am not a nugget" thing, and all that other stuff. You know, like
I wasn't late. My nose got here 10 minutes ago.
But that was like one of the best mockeries I seen. Like, because look, DX came out dressed up all as the Nation of Domination, like all of them, man. It was just gold. It was great. And if I want to talk about DX moments, that's not at the top, but it's really close to the top. I'd say my top one of my top DX moments is either one or the one where Hunter and Sean were like standing at a presidential podium. I'd say that was probably up there with it. And you guys don't know what I'm talking about. Is that the one
where they were discussing the words they're not allowed to say anymore?
Yes. Yes, all the banned words. And he was like, I didn't sleep with her. We were up all night long or something like that.
No.
But the top has to be storming the Monday Night Nitro arena.
Absolutely.
That's got to be genius. The best. Yeah.
Because DX was technically heels at that time.
Uh-huh.
And that made everybody love them. And I believe there was one where they were like trying to get into the building, and Kevin Nash says that he was on the other side of that door, like, just, let them in.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny because they got in some legal issues over that somewhat, and of course I don't think nothing ever happened about it, but WCW heard that this was good, like they were wanting to do this, and like they were taking precautions and stuff. And could you imagine if they could have broke through? I mean, on live TV,
they should have.
That would have been interesting.
Here's the thing, though. It's free ratings for WCW if they let them in there.
Yeah.
Because now they're getting watched on another show.
Yep. Could just imagine that moment. DX appeared on Nitro.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been absolutely insane.
That would have like made everybody think wrestling was real again. Which physically, like, the physicality of it is not fake. Yeah. I argue with people all the time. Everybody says wrestling's fake. Landing correctly in the ring hurts. I have actually done this before.
Yeah.
It hurts. Every time you land.
So, but that was a great moment. One of the most devastating moments, though, in Attitude Era, was the death of Owen Hart. Not to get all heavy, but you can't talk about the Attitude Era and not talk about Owen. Owen was by far one of the best wrestlers in that locker room, and
he was a top talent, no doubt.
Yeah, and he was getting ready to get that push, like he really was. That's why he was doing the Blue Blazer stuff. And Arson, if you don't know what we're talking about, Owen Hart was Bret Hart's brother, or is Bret Hart's brother. And after Bret Hart left the company, Owen stayed, which boggles me to this day. But he did this, like, early in his career, he did this character in WWF called the Blue Blazer. He was like a superhero, right? He wore a mask and did this stuff. And they brought it back, and he was wrestling twice. Basically, he was wrestling as Owen Hart with, at the time, he was teamed with Jeff Jarrett.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, they were tag team champions, or they were at one time. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. But not only that, he was doing that, and he was doing the Blue Blazer stuff. And on the night of May 23rd, 1999, at their Over the Edge event, he fell what, like 30 something feet from the
50
rafters.
feet.
Was it 50 feet? I didn't think it was that
50
high.
feet. Yep.
So
50 feet. And he hit the turnbuckle.
yeah, and he was pretty much dead on impact from like when he hit the because of the way he hit. And it was heartbreaking because the only people, because see, this is the one thing I could say that is good is they record on the delay for a reason. And that was a reason to record on a delay because they were able to cut that footage out before it aired.
Mm-hmm.
And but footage has surfaced of like years ago of like that event happening. Has anybody ever seen that?
I haven't.
What about you, Chad?
No, I won't. Well, I wouldn't watch it if I did know that was it.
Yeah, it's real. I watched it once because I didn't think it would be real, and it was horrifying. I watched that pay-per-view, and for when they came back and Jim Ross had to announce that.
Which, like, the way that he did it, the way that Jim Ross portrayed that, you could tell that it was one of the hardest things for him to do.
Go on.
The fact that they just kind of threw that at him, and it was his job to let, the masses know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I could have done it any better. I mean, it was short, and it felt extremely rushed and a little bit awkward in his delivery, but how could you have have handled it any other way?
Right. So yeah, that was a really, really rough moment in wrestling, and the tribute show on Monday was absolutely like the only one that I can say that was just as bad, if not worse, was the Eddie Guerrero tribute.
Yeah. But now we're going to move on to happy things again because, thanks for making us all fucking sad.
Well, you can't not talk about that. I'm just saying.
How about
The Rock's birthday party?
Did that happen during the Attitude Era?
Yes. Mick Foley, when Mick Foley had the birthday party, what was it?
It was like
I think it was the
best
birthday
moments
party
where he
for
brought
The
out
Rock.
the teacher. And all that stuff.
Yeah.
that one?
What were you thinking, Flerp?
Thinking like way in the future about a completely different event.
Go for it. Go for it.
But what I was thinking for this segment is, do you guys remember Raw of November 1999 when Test and Stephanie McMahon were in the ring about to get married? And Triple H comes out and does something that, holy shit, let's talk about things that could not be done today.
Right.
To pull up and basically say she's already married and then air that footage on national TV.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god,
That was hilarious.
I don't even know how to preference this. Like, can we talk about this without getting in trouble?
I mean, we're talking about an event that already happened, so I'm assuming it'd be okay. But
So Arson, basically what happened is Stephanie McMahon was supposed to marry a guy named Test on the show. And Triple H comes out from the back and basically starts explaining that she's already married. And they're like, you're insane. That's absolutely not true. And then it cuts to a video.
Right. He was unconscious, and they married in like a chapel in Vegas.
Yeah, and they married in a chapel in Vegas. And then he goes on to call Vince McMahon dad.
yeah.
And it's just, it's so dumb that they spent so much time leading up to this event just for that to be the result. Oh, it was so good.
So there's so many great moments. I really enjoyed the moment where Stone Cold turned heel and he was like basically McMahon's little calling boy at that time with him and our Angle, and they'd be back there. Like,
I love the skits that came after it, but I hated that it happened.
no, I hate it too, but the skits is what made it memorable. Like them back there playing the little guitar with the hat, like Angle had the hat on, and and all this other stuff. It's like it was like amazing. So we got that, you know, we've got so many different things that happened. One of my favorite moments again was this was coming towards the end of the Attitude Era, but one of my favorite moments has to be when Chris Jericho became the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, beating Rock. Hey, it doesn't matter. He still beat The Rock and Stone Cold all in one night.
I know.
He was a heel, of course.
He was the first person to ever do it.
He was the first person to ever do it. Exactly. And for that to be, you know, for that to happen was amazing. Like I love that Chris Jericho did that. Even though, like you said, he did not do it like completely the way he should have, but you know, it doesn't matter. He won. That's all that matters.
Like when Chris Jericho beat Triple H for the title, because Earl Hebner did the quick count on it because Triple H was shoving him around.
Yeah.
And then he had to reverse that decision because they were, you know, it was Triple H, Stephanie, and Shane threatening Earl Hebner in the ring.
Man.
Also, I do want to point out really quick, just because I looked this up earlier and I didn't get to talk about it. Just a real quick nod here. So the guy who threw Stone Cold's beers, his name is literally Mark Yeaton.
Yeaton?
He yeeted those beers out there, didn't he?
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. So here's another one. So this goes back to the corporate, not the corporate, it was the Ministry of Darkness. It was the whole thing when they kidnapped Stephanie McMahon, and then basically tried to crucify her in the middle of the ring while they again tried to get Undertaker to marry Stephanie.
They tried to get a lot of people to marry Stephanie.
They really did. I think, oh my gosh, it was crazy.
They also tried to crucify her once.
Well, yeah, but I think it was around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you strap her to a Undertaker symbol that basically resembles a cross, that was hard to watch for me. Okay. But I think this was like at Backlash or around that time. But when you see Stone Cold come out and save her, like it was so awesome. Like it was really cool moment, after that. I really did enjoy the Ministry of Darkness segments until they revealed who the big boss was behind it all and became the corporate ministry. I thought that was horrible. And it just got even worse as they went. But yeah, so then we got moments like when the big boss man crashed Big Show's dad's funeral. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Like they got real pretty big time, like with some of these segments. It was just crazy. And then then during that time you also had the debut of Kane, which absolutely was an amazing moment. As we stated before, Kane was Isaac Yankem, and he was a dentist, and then he became a completely disfigured character in the in this. I almost said it again. Yeah, in the WWE. Look, when I put three letters together, it's usually DDB or
DVD. Yeah.
DVD. But anyways, so you go from that to like Kane was awesome. And then Kane and Undertaker together as the Brothers of Destruction were awesome. But his debut was like he literally wrecked the Undertaker. And you didn't see that. you just didn't see that. But yeah, to go back, and I think you're talking about like when you were talking about that Rock thing, it's that This Is Your Life.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
yeah, it was. I just passed it on a thing I'm looking at. But yeah, it was just like it was crazy. Like they had so many amazing moments in the Attitude Era. We could sit here for hours talking about this. I love how, you know, Bret Hart is the one that coined the Generation X name
Yeah.
by calling them degenerates, and that's literally how they got their name. You know, you could go down the list of everything we got. You got the Kiss My Ass Club that debuted during the end of the Attitude Era, which I really thought that was earlier because, you know, when they went more PG, like, you know, I didn't think that they did that kind of stuff. But William Regal was the first member, and that happened on Raw on November 19th, 2020 or 2001, so 2001. And it's crazy. And then the stuff that we talk about, it was funny because when we were talking about introducing Chad, I was gonna say we should do it as Chad was Mae Young and Mark Henry's baby.
No.
And he was like, no. But to talk about that for a second, you get Mae Young that gave birth to a hand, and then also was the same woman that the Dudleys put through a table. Like that stuff happened, and she was what, in her like 80s when that happened?
70s, I think. But
70s or 80s, and Bubba Ray Dudley put her through a table.
I can never watch that Royal Rumble again. I'm just saying.
And then you got stuff like let's see, you got Brock Lesnar. He debuted at the tail end of the Attitude Era.
And then you've got Stone Cold beating the dog shit out of Vince McMahon with a bedpan.
Oh my gosh.
That was hilarious.
Which I don't know how we haven't touched on, but
I don't know how we didn't either, especially with the whole thing that led up to, you know, Mick Foley being in there, like trying to cheer
with
up
Yerful the Clown and the debut of Mr.
Sacco, yes. Like that, look, all these moments are so amazing. This is some people's childhood. This was my younger days, you know, like I was like fresh out of high school. These were my I loved them. Like these were moments we used to go to events. Look, I can remember I had a boss that worked at one of the casinos I worked at. He had a bus company where he'd go and wash buses for the city, you know, and he would say anybody that came and help wash buses with us on the Sunday morning would get to go home, and we'd come over, he'd buy pizzas, and we'd watch the pay-per-view. And literally those were moments I can never erase from my mind. Like they were amazing. And we watched WrestleMania, what was it, 18? Was it 18 or 17 with Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels? It was 17.
Yeah.
No, not 17, 14. My bad. I'm completely
14.
It was 14.
Because WrestleMania 18 was Hogan and The Rock.
Yeah. WrestleMania 14. Sorry, I got completely screwed up. But WrestleMania 14 is when we watched on there, and it was pretty cool because they had the dumpster match on there with the New Age Outlaws and Cactus Jack and, well, I say in quotations, Chainsaw Charlie. Rest in peace, Terry Funk. But do you remember that whole, like, when New Age Outlaws like just like went out there and like during Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie's match that they had on Raw one night and just like dumped them into a dumpster and just like beat the crap out of them? And then that led to this. Like they had all that. Like it was a great, you know, great match or great time. All that stuff. I could sit there and talk about all the WrestleManias that they had all the way. And I think by WrestleMania 18, I feel like that was like the end. Basically, you had, you know, to me, the end of the Attitude Era was like McMahon buying WCW, which led to a couple years later Hogan, Nash, and Hall coming in. And I feel like that was the very end of the Attitude Era. I don't know about anybody else.
I kind of feel like it was.
Yeah, that was about the end of it.
And that's to me. And let's also mention one more thing. Let's talk about a certain hardcore title.
Dude. So, okay, if you're going to talk about the hardcore title, you first have to talk about the failure that was Brawl for All. Because
Yeah.
WCW actually came out with a hardcore championship before WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of did it right. WWE is like, well, we could mix this with like MMA and da-da-da, which I don't really think it was. It was kind of called MMA back then, but it was more just called UFC because that's really the only one there was.
Yeah.
And like Bart Gunn was not supposed to beat Dr. Death,
No.
but Bart actually had like some boxing training. And they brought in Butterbean, and I'm sorry, but Butterbean was a knockout machine. That dude was
Yeah.
a monster.
He knocked him out hardcore.
And he did. He went lights out. Brawl for All sucked though. And
Yeah.
that was WWE's quote unquote answer to WCW's hardcore title when everybody just wanted a hardcore title. However, I do love what they did
But
and
Bart
made into
Gunn.
the hardcore title with the old WWF championship.
Yeah. But see, Bart Gunn, after that moment, really got punished by the WWE because of all that stuff that went down. Because he wasn't supposed to win, even though, like, I've seen all kinds of stuff on it. Like, there's that dark side of the ring or whatever, and they talk about that in there. But yeah, I love how they repurposed the championship for the hardcore title and handed it to Mankind to basically manipulate him. Yeah. But what I want to talk about is when Crash Holly won the belt. Because when Crash Holly won the belt, they introduced a 24/7 rule. And that belt was defended all the time. And it led to some amazing, dare I say, comic relief moments. Because, like, I mean, everybody won the hardcore title during that time. I think there was a ref that won it too.
There was a hoe that won it.
Yep. and what he's talking about, if you guys don't know, the Godfather had his valets that would bring. He'd basically pick up like 2 or 3 or more people, locals, and they would turn into the Godfather's hoes. So
1 or 2 of them actually became wrestlers too.
That's true. But yeah, so you get all of this from the WWE hardcore title. And I say that to say this. They actually, the reason why they have the 24/7 championship now is because of that hardcore championship. Like, straight up. I think that belt changed hands like 9 times in one night, or maybe more. No, it was 50.
Not nearly as cool.
No.
Yeah, the 24/7 championship was a waste of fucking time.
Is it still going? Is it?
You?
I don't.
No, they
retired it.
Okay.
Because they figured out that it was a stupid idea.
Which kind of sucks because it was the only thing that they were doing with R-Truth, but
okay, yeah. So guys, this has been a crazy ride. It's been a lot of fun. We could sit here and talk for hours upon hours, and maybe we'll retouch on this. And next time, maybe we'll let Arson sit this one out because, poor guy, he's been in here, and we just, we haven't utilized them as much. And I apologize for that, Arson.
Learn something.
I hope you have learned a little bit of our passion when it comes to this subject, though, Arson.
It's a lot of passion.
It is a lot of passion. You haven't seen anything. I mean, we could go on for this like forever. And we haven't even touched on the games, but we will eventually, just not right now. But that being said, guys, I appreciate Chad joining us for this episode. You were amazing in this. I knew you would be, and that's why I wanted you a part of this, especially when Amanda said she wasn't going to be able to make it. And I want to thank
okay, twin. It's okay, twin. I got your back.
I want to thank Flerp for being the one that like absolutely suggested this. So
Hell yeah.
because we were just sitting there talking shop one day and he was like, dude, we should do a podcast about this. This is what we talk about. Like, blah, 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 blah. I was like, we should. So, but yeah, I want to thank you guys for being here with me this week.
Absolutely.
But for you guys out there in wrestling land, and all the podcast land, I want to thank you for listening this far deep. I know we went down a few rabbit holes, but we got back. But I hope you have enjoyed it. And if you have, we have in our description a link that you are able to click on, and it takes us to all things from the ashes. It has everybody's links to Twitch, all the good stuff. So you got all the social medias and whatnot. So, but if you guys want to know a little bit more about us, let us know. That's a good way to leave comments and let you know. You could tell us about your favorite moment in the Attitude Era. You could give us some suggestions on maybe what to do or what to talk about next. Anything you guys want. So, but I want to thank you guys.
I'll talk about anything except the relationship with my father.
So let's talk about that. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys have a great week. I want to thank you again for being here, and Arson for putting up with us. Have a great week, guys, and we will see you next week.
Bye, motherfuckers.